Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Community Development Human Services Committee. I'm Jason Winston, chair of the committee. At this present moment, I'm joined by Council Member Mary Norwood. We do have two other council members that are on the way, so we can't, as of yet, officially begin the meeting, but we can go ahead and take public comment. And then we also have two presentations on our agenda today that we can take as well. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started with the public comment section of our agenda. Our first speaker that we have today is Ms. Henry Jordan. I will just remind our speakers that you will have 3 minutes. I will give a gentle reminder at 30 seconds, and then the floor is yours. Just gave the announcement on that. They're on the way. So we can start public comment. I understand, but we wanted. It's not a law, Brother Muhammad. No, it's not a law, Brother Muhammad. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Your time is up. Our council members that are here, multiple, are in the building and can hear the public comment. So we want to make sure the public has their opportunity. So we're going to start with Ms. Henry Jordan. Thank you.
Give it out to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. Give her of the fruit of her hands, that her own works praise her in the gates. Proverbs 31:31. She's a woman of God who is enterprising and dedicated to her home. I read the scripture to James script because God said that he was against his word. Jesus knew him. I thought I did because James was in the Holiness Church. Husband, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Ephesians 5th chapter 25th verse. The Greek word rendered love is agapeo, which denotes the willing sacrificial giving on the husband part for the benefit of his wife, without thought of return. James' action told Jesus that he does not desire me as his wife. When you promote evil, you give the enemy power to destroy you. Now, concerning the things whereof you want to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. 1 Corinthians 7 chapter 1st verse. Now, concerning the recurring formula indicates that Paul is dealing in turn with the issues the Corinthians had raised in this letter. James told me he would save his body for me, and he did not. God took his nature away to help him. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. 1 Corinthians 7 chapter 2nd verse. Good, morally good. That the apostle does not intend to teach that marriage is morally wrong with celibacy. Jesus says, if I marry James Griff, the demons from the many women he has been with will jump in me. Jesus says to fight, to live for Christ, to save myself and others. Your plan will not save and deliver like Christ's plan. Satan tells you to trust in lies. The truth will set you free when a lie appears to set you free. We need Christ more than he needs us. And he gives us a chance to get it right. I'm trying to fight against my sin, because Christ hates sin. And we should hate sin also if we seek to please Christ. We can't fight Satan like Jesus can.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brother Muhammad. You'll have 3 minutes.
I am that I am. Brother Anthony Muhammad, no longer a religious person, don't accept the patriarchal society. The religion that we have is a copy of the Metanetter. They copied ancient, dark, anti-matter people writings on the pyramids, on the temples, and took it and benefited themselves. But I also want to make it very clear today that I want to thank the legislators over at Georgia. I think it was the Republican. They said we're not going to accept this genealogy, or to any other gene other than the feminine energy and the masculine energy. Why do I say that? Because right here in my left hand, I have this pyramid that represents the Crown Council of 13. Miss Elizabeth of London, of England, sits on the crown, but it represents the powers that be. You got the 1% of the peoples of the earth control 90% of the natural resources. You got 8 billion peoples on this earth and counting. 7.5 billion of dark people like myself and brown. But you got all of this control. At the bottom, you got what we call the lower class. They are controlled by the institution of religion, education, all the media. But this sister on my right, Mr. Winston, there's a truth in nature. It's a natural law in nature. It's a law of attraction of the elements of nature, Miss Norwood, and you cannot violate that natural order. You can continue to do what you want according to the Western ideology, but that is not the law of nature. But I want to thank Miss Keisha Lance Bottom when she was the mayor, Mr. Winston. This sister was one that was really empathetic to the poor people in Atlanta. She had the opportunity after they shot down a man at a Wendy hamburger place. And she showed that I want to be right because they shot the man down and killed him. But her family recently got some support from Mr. Dickerson and the administration of Atlanta. I thank y'all. But why do I bring it up? Kamala Harris, Miss Vice President. Then you had Miss Keisha was said that she was going to be running as the vice president. But we brought a woman from India. And India is a place where you got 1.3 billion people. And a billion of them look like me, dark people, dark antimatter, the browning of the peoples as well. But you got Miss Kamala Harris and them say they're not going to support those people they call the untouchables. Now, what did you call your ancestor, Mr. Winston, here in North America? They called them what? While they had us on the plantation. What did they call us?
Thank you, Brother
400
Muhammad.
years later, we still not getting justice from the
Time has
Democratic
expired.
Party.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much today.
I greet you as I did not greet you. In the words of peace and paradise. Arabic language, assalamu alaikum. Matriarch Hotel. I say. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Michael Harvey, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hey guys, my name's Michael Harvey. I live over in Grant Park. I live down the street from our good friend Jason Winston. Matt, great job on voting this morning, number 74. I think that's not a bad strategy, trying to be first in line. I might have to do the same myself tomorrow. But I'm here speaking on behalf of the short-term rental ordinance that Jason proposed. Guys, this is a common sense thing that we should have done a long time ago. I think our city's wasted tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on an ordinance that's nobody really believes in. It's not enforced. And, Jason's got this wonderful ordinance that really is the first step of, what we should have been doing all along. We always have the option of amending this thing later down the road if it doesn't produce the results we want, but we've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, our attorneys made some money. The City of Atlanta attorneys, they've been busy, but that really didn't address the issues that the original short-term rental ordinance was supposed to create. Short-term rentals, it's not a genie that we can put back in the bottle. We're not going back to driving around yellow cabs in Atlanta. We're not going to put a horse and buggy back on the street. Short-term rentals are they're going to be part of the fabric of, every major metropolitan city for, the going future, and we've got to come up with a fair and equitable way to regulate them. And in Jason Winston's paper, this is a great way to do it. It's got the support of the Atlanta Metro Short-Term Rental Alliance. It's got the support of Airbnb and the other platforms. This is it's a really great paper, and we need to get something on the book because right now it's just the Wild West of Atlanta, and we have a lot of confused people in the city of Atlanta who they know that there's an ordinance, but it's not enforceable, and it's just this big gray zone. We've got some really big events coming up over the next couple years, the World Cup. Who knows how many NCAA championships are going to come to Atlanta. And let's not forget that when every September and October, when the hurricanes decide to come to Florida and North Carolina, our city is we're the backstop for people that are facing some really awful consequences of climate change. We still have people that are staying in Atlanta because they can't go home to their houses in Florida because they don't have power. There's people that are staying at our homes right now that they can't stay in their home because it's still flooded from the hurricane from a couple weeks ago. We still have people from North Carolina that are staying in Atlanta because they don't have other places to go. But Jason, thank you so much for working your butt off to get this this paper through the committee, and we might need to make some adjustments, but we're here to help with anything you need.
All right, thank you. And then our last speaker for today is Scarlett Rivera. You'll have 3 minutes. And please forgive me if I said your name incorrectly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scarlett Rivera. I am originally from Central America, Nicaragua. I've been cleaning and managing cleaning teams for the short-term rentals industry for the past probably 5 years now. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we come into every time we go and clean a house. We don't really clean after parties or big groups of people creating disturbance for the community. Most of the time, like Michael mentioned it, it's a group of families that are in need of a place to stay, people that are recovering from surgeries, people that are here for team or sport teams activities. Usually it's family that get together to celebrate weddings, or they are visiting family members or sick family members. So that's why we agree on the proposal that Jason is bringing today, because we think this is really important for us, since it helps a lot to support the community, the local community, and at the same time, it brings income for a lot of families. And in my case, my team, it's about 6 to 8 people on the weekends, and these people are able to bring some income to their families every week. That's all I have to say today. Thank you so much for your time.
Sorry. Thanks to everyone that had comments today in our public comment section of our agenda. We do have another council member that is on the way, but we are going to go ahead and take the presentation section of our agenda today. We have 2 presentations. One is from Atlanta Fulton County Rec Authority, and the other is a quarterly update by Atlanta Housing Authority. So we will begin with Executive Director Kerry Stewart of the Atlanta Fulton County Rec Authority. Thank you for being here, sir.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Okay, I've been asked to come in and basically give you an update, overview of what we've been doing over the last year. And so I'm going to give you an update on our assets and initiatives. First we have is, I can't really read that, but I got my notes. State Farm Marina is our largest asset that we manage. And the key metric there is making sure that the net operating income that they produce on an annual basis exceeds the debt burden by more than 1.5 times. And we call that debt service coverage ratio. And during COVID and just after COVID, they did miss that 1 or 2 quarters, but they have recovered strongly. And as of June 30th, 2024, their debt service coverage ratio was 13.78. So that's well past the necessary of 1.5. Next asset is Zoo Atlanta and the Gateway Parking Deck. The board recently approved a construction project for the lion habitat. That was roughly a $2.8 million project. The Cherokee Lot EV charging stations will be installed soon, waiting on permitting. Parking assets are ahead of 2023 financial results, and I'll show you more details on a later slide. Next asset is Johnny White Golf Course. We will be hopefully breaking ground in mid-November on a $25 million, 25,000 square foot senior activity center. That center will include senior activity space, fitness, meeting space, dedicated doctor's office, restaurant, conference room, offices for First Tee, and classrooms and pro shop, and more. Also, update on Fanplex. We are talking with AUDC to do a multifamily project there, and that multifamily project will also have a community component. The next slide, we're going to go over the details of the Grant Park parking assets. 2023 total revenues were $1.5 million. And of 2023, January through September was 1.16 million compared to 1.3 million this year. So we are roughly $166,000 ahead of last year. Next slide is giving you a view of the Johnny White Golf Course and Senior Center. That's the front, the left picture is the facing Cascade Circle, and the right picture is the rear of the facility facing the golf course. Next is the update on our indirect investments in the community, and this is what's left of the $5 million grant for the Neighborhood Community Trust Fund. The balance as of September 30th is $310,000. We're waiting on instructions from the grant administrator and the board on how they want to the fees of the rest of the $310,000. And that program will come to an end once we have a game plan for that. And lastly, we do direct investments. In 2024, we gave out $287,000 to 28 organizations, and these organizations were centered around sports and recreation, and I listed a few of those. Propel Atlanta, $27,000, Field of Dreams, $5,000, and you'll see the list up there. But $287,000 was given out to organizations in the city of Atlanta and Fulton County. So that's a quick overview. Are there any questions on any of that?
Thank you. Any questions or comments from colleagues? Just happy to see the revenue coming in for the Grant Park Gateway. Those numbers look great. I know we have the new Savi Market that's going to be coming to the restaurant space that's on top there. So I know they're eager to get together with you all to just kind of talk about, what that construction timeline looks like for you. So we'd love to make a connection with them so that you all can have those conversations. Cherokee Avenue parking lot at the zoo as well. Wasn't listed here, but it's is it the same kind of breakdown? You seeing numbers going up there as well?
So these numbers were total.
Okay, so
They
for both.
included both. And Cherokee's, I separated it out. Let me go back to the slide. So the middle column is Cherokee, and the left columns in each category is Gateway.
Got it. Okay, I see it now. So it's broken down between the two lots.
Right.
Okay.
And as far as Savvy provisions, that was actually issued by the city.
Yep.
Department of Park and Recs. I did have talked with them about parking, but as far as construction time.
Yeah, I know. It was mostly on the parking conversation, so
Gotcha.
I just wanted to, hopefully we'll see an increase in revenue there as we see more patrons coming to that space.
Right.
And then the other question I had was around Fanplex. Has there been any conversations about timeline, what we're looking like?
No, AUDC has a lot on their plate.
Okay.
So all I can tell you is we're in the hopper. I'm hopefully be the next 3 to 4 to 6 months that we'll be able to make some movement on that.
Okay. No other questions from me. Seeing none from my colleagues. Appreciate you coming
All right.
today.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. All right. Our next presentation will be coming from CEO Terry Lee of Atlanta Housing Authority.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Y'all should be excited. I came back home. I spent 16 years in this building. So I am really, really grateful to have the opportunity to stand before you, just in my capacity as president and CEO of Atlanta Housing. We appreciate the partnership that we have with the City of Atlanta, and quite honestly, that partnership through the City Council and the Mayor's office has really helped us to lean forward aggressively with some of the items that I'll share with you today. I always think it's important to share with you who we are as a housing authority. So Atlanta Housing, of course, is the largest housing authority in the state of Georgia, but we're the 16th largest housing authority in the country and the 3rd largest housing authority in the southeastern region. We have the ability to really help about 26,000, close to 27,000 households a year, which equate to about 44,000 people. What we recently are looking at are the children that we serve. And so we serve, and we have the opportunity to serve over 20% of Atlanta Public School District's kids. And so those kids are our residents, and we have the opportunity to assist them on a daily basis of having stable housing. When you think about our families, I think it's really important to note that 80% of our families make less than $32,000. And so if we just go with the standard formula that a person or a household should pay no more than 30% of their income for rent, that's basically 80% of our families can pay no more than $800 a month for rent. We know the average 2-bedroom here in the city will range between $1,500 to $1,800, and so that shows the importance of the resources that we have available to make sure that we assist our families to have safe, stable, and sustainable housing. And we've shared this with the City Council before, but I think it's important to note that we don't just have a plan, but we have an implementation strategy to move forward with making sure that housing serves as the catalyst to lifting our families up to a different level of economic self-sufficiency. Our board adopted our strategic plan in January of 2023, and quite simply, we have 6 goals. How do we become very intentional and hyper-focused on increasing the overall supply of affordable housing in this city, leveraging the assets that we have available? Second would be making sure that we enhance resources made available for Atlantans in need. Third would be really focused in on creating opportunities for our families and children to thrive. So not just place them in a household, place them in sustainable housing, but really make sure that we are equipping our families to have a different level of economic self-sufficiency and viability. Fourth would be really focusing on our partnerships, making sure that we build and enhance our partnership strategy differently to be able to leverage the resources we have to bear. And then, as today, communication, really communicating who we are, the work we're doing, the impact of the work that we have, but also how that feeds into the overall housing ecosystem of the City of Atlanta. And quite honestly, one of my favorite goals is really strengthening our operations so that we're not just an organization for today, but that we're building a sustainable organization for the future. So when you think about the purpose of today's presentation, we'll focus in on the first goal, thank you, which is creating and/or preserving 10,000 units. And so the city has a goal of 20,000 units, and Atlanta Housing is proud to be a participant along with our other public sector partners in making that a realization. And so when we look at our goals under our strategic plan, we've committed to do 10,000 units by FY 2027. Of those 10,000 units, we are at 49% of our goal. Now, what's interesting to note is the vast majority of that 49% will focus in on preservation. And so that's preserving the opportunity of existing affordable housing units. But as we talk through today's presentation, you'll see how our creation numbers just within this next year will increase, because 34% of our goals shows that we've created 1,600 units. Now, what I'm really proud of, and I believe this is one of the best kept secrets at Atlanta Housing, is our down payment assistance program. We have a very robust down payment assistance program that since its inception has made housing available for over 1,900 families. Our down payment assistance program, and of our 10,000 units, we have projected that 15% of that will be made available for families who are seeking homeownership opportunities. To date, we're at right around 416 units for down payment assistance, and we have a 0% foreclosure rate on our program and working with our families. And so we are very excited about the number of families that we're able to help create homeownership opportunities, because we know that's one of the first wave to generational wealth, especially for families of color. Now, this year, and my Chief Operating Officer, Dwayne Vaughn, had a chance to visit with you, I believe, back in July. And he shared with you at that time that Atlanta Housing had approved the largest budget in the history of in the 86 history of the organization. So our budget for this upcoming fiscal year is right around $533 million, of which 84% of those resources are going directly for housing assistance, be it housing development and preservation activity or rental and operating housing assistance to house our families in existing units. What I'm excited about, and I get very excited about this, is because the agenda that we have before you right now, just within these next 12 months, will be the largest level of development activity that we've seen at the Housing Authority in over 10 years. We have projected that this fiscal year alone, that we will have 25 financial closings. And of those 25 financial closings, we're looking at about creating an increase in the overall supply of about 3,700 units, of which 78% will be affordable. Now, that total development cost and impact would be right around $1 billion, with Atlanta Housing investing right around $148 million in that. And so we have a term at our agency called shovels in the ground, because we recognize it's one thing to talk about housing, it's another thing to actually get a shovel and start moving dirt to where we can make the opportunity for housing available for our families. And so right now today, we have actively 8 projects that are underway. Those 8 projects represent a total of 1,100 units, with 861 of those units being affordable. We're also looking at a total investment cost of about $366 million on our total development costs, with Atlanta Housing investing about 15% of that, which accounts for about $58 million. What is really exciting for me, and I saw this when I traveled over to the Housing Authority about 3 years ago, we have a unique opportunity to leverage our vacant land assets, which were formerly public housing sites, to really increase the overall supply of housing in the city. So one of the projects we have underway is Phase 2 of Herndon Homes. This follows Phase 1. Phase 1 of Herndon Homes was about 97 units. We're doing Phase 2. We're close to 201 units, with 170 of those units being affordable. We literally broke ground on that development activity in April of this year, and we're planning on closing Phase 3 of Herndon Homes in December of this year. And so when we talk about the 25 closings, we have recent closings that have already taken place. And so one is a proactive acquisition strategy for Atlanta Housing, and that is what we call the Old Stadium Hotel, which is the former Ramada Plaza Hotel at 450 Hank Aaron. That was an acquisition that we were able to move forward with in August of this year. We've also have moved forward with the closing with our development partners, Quest, as well as Columbia Residential, on Heritage Village at Westlake, which is the old Job Corps building, as well as we're proceeding with the preservation of Columbia Heritage Senior. Many of you may remember that site as the old Perry Homes, which is now West Highland. We are moving forward with the redevelopment and preservation of that opportunity for our seniors. And we, working with the AUD as well as Invest Atlanta, we closed on a recent deal called the Proctor. What's exciting to us about the Proctor is that it presented a new opportunity for Atlanta Housing to utilize our vouchers, not necessarily from a project-based perspective, but we were able to work with the development partner to set aside 41 units for our participants who have tenant-based vouchers. And that is the first transaction where on the front end, we've been able to capitalize the financial transaction through the use of our tenant-based vouchers. We still have more to come. Bowen Homes is a project we're working on our second choice neighborhood grant, and I would like to thank the City of Atlanta for their partnership as being our co-applicant and co-grantee in moving forward with the Bowen Homes effort. That transformation of that site along the Hollowell corridor is about a 74-acre site, and we have the ability to populate that site as a mixed-use, mixed-income development opportunity, looking at about 2,000 units. Of those 2,000 units, we're dedicating right around 20 20% for homeownership opportunities. Now, we are planning to close on the first phase of Bowen Homes this November. The first phase will be about 151 units, looking at right at $69 million in total development cost. We also are moving forward with the Civic Center. Many of you know this, that Atlanta Housing acquired the Civic Center from Invest Atlanta in November of 2017. We selected a development partner, I believe, early last year, and we're moving forward with the first phase. The first phase of Civic Center redevelopment will be senior housing, where we'll have a total of 148 units. All built out, we're looking at right around 1,500 units on the Civic Center site, and again, it will be a mixed income development with about a 38% affordability. The remaining activity we have for closings here within this fiscal year, by December, represent an additional 5 projects. All total, we believe we'll have a total of 1,500 units with an affordability percentage at right around 84%. And that's just for this year alone in order for us to meet our goal of closing 25 projects by the close of next fiscal year. So while we're closing projects and putting shovels in the ground, we're still planning. We're planning, looking at our other upcoming development opportunities. So along the west side, we have 3 key sites: Bowen Homes, which we have, which is a 74-acre site; Hollywood Courts, which is about a 34-acre site; and then the old Bankhead Courts, which is right around 25 acres. We're looking to move forward with working with the city. The city is doing a small neighborhood area plan for the Hollywood site. Following the city's completion of that plan, we will be looking to move forward with the redevelopment opportunity for Hollywood through a request for proposals. We're also looking at the development of the Palmer House, which is near our first redevelopment project, Centennial Homes, as well as, of course, the former Ramada Plaza Hotel. Now, with the Ramada Plaza Hotel, that is in the Summer Hill neighborhood. With all of our development projects, we do a robust community engagement to make sure that we understand the needs of the community, and quite honestly, that we're planning with the neighborhood and not on top of the neighborhood. So with the Ramada Plaza Hotel, we will be in the coming weeks reaching out to the neighborhood association as well as the council member to talk through development activity and development plans for that site as we reimagine what that property could look like. And then pending developer selections. We had an RFP that was issued earlier this year for our Johnson Road site, which is near the West Side Quarry Park, as well as our site North Avenue, which is near an existing Atlanta Housing owned property, Cosby Spear. We will be going to our board in November with a recommendation for a developer for those 2 locations. Now, we've talked a lot about development, but what's also important to note is, again, we have a robust program through the Housing Choice Voucher Program. And so the Housing Choice Voucher Program gives us the ability to either assist a resident directly or incentivize a property owner to provide project-based units for our families. We spend on average about $236 million a year assisting our families, and we are touching right now 122 multifamily properties in this city, incentivizing those developers to provide affordable housing. In August of this year, we held our landlord symposium because we want to make sure that although we have these resources, we also want to eliminate any bureaucracy or red tape that will impact the landlord in being able to provide housing to our families. And so we were able to have our second annual landlord symposium, and we had probably about 120 participants learning how to do business with Atlanta Housing, but also with us hearing back from those individuals as to reasons why they were not currently doing business with Atlanta Housing, so we can make sure that we enhance our program and our system. We also partnered with the City of Atlanta as well as the Regional HUD office in hosting a Developers of Color Summit. That Developers of Color Summit was really focused around how do we make opportunities available to developers who have been disenfranchised or quite honestly may not be large enough for some of the larger development opportunities. And so it was a very well attended event. Actually, I would tell you my colleagues at the Houston Housing Authority are utilizing our summit as an example of what they would like to take to Houston, Texas. And so again, I thank you. I always, always, always enjoy coming back to the podium, but more importantly, coming back to City Hall. I am a child of Atlanta City Hall because I spent so many years, and a lot of the great work that we're able to do at Atlanta Housing, quite honestly, is because of things that I learned right here in this building. So thank you, and I will entertain any questions at this time.
Well, we thank you for being here, and are so happy to be working with you on many of these projects that you have listed that you went over today. I want to turn it over to my colleagues first. Councilmember McWestmoreland is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam CEO. 16 years in the building and no visible PTSD to show for it. So there you go.
Just a little bit.
One question, one comment. The second choice grant for Bowen. Talk a little bit about how applying for a second one is different than the first one. How does it increase or decrease our odds of getting it? Is it for the same amount as the first one? What's the timeline?
So the first, and let me just clarify. So Atlanta Housing is the recipient of two choice neighborhood planning grants, as well as two choice neighborhood implementation grants. The first planning and implementation grant was for the former University Homes, and that is actually the first public housing site within the city of Atlanta, as well as the country, for Black people. And so we're currently completing that project, and I believe we have a total of 600 units to date, and we've preserved the existing Roosevelt Hall. The city served as a co-applicant on that choice neighborhood grant as well. The actual amount from HUD was right around $30 million, and to date we've been able to leverage close to $200 million to move forward with that development opportunity. The Bowen Homes Choice Neighborhood Planning and Implementation Grant. We received the Choice Planning Grant in December of 2020, and we were awarded the Implementation Grant in July of 2023. That particular planning and implementation grant is a little different from University Homes. University Homes was fortunate enough to have a lot of catalytic activity because it was in the West Side tab. It is in the West Side tab. And so Invest Atlanta served as our neighborhood partner for University Homes because they had a lot of synergy and a lot of activity already supporting that particular neighborhood. And those neighborhoods were made up of Vine City, Just Us, and the AUC. The AUC campuses. For Bowen Homes, we did not have that level of synergy. And so, but the good thing was Bowen Homes borders the mayor's neighborhood transformation corridors. And because it's a part of the mayor's neighborhood transformation corridors, the city is not only serving as our co-applicant, they're also serving as our neighborhood partner, neighborhood lead. And so because of that, there's a heavier lift in order to come in and help revitalize that area. But we believe that the park, as well as the fact that it's a part of the neighborhood transformation corridor, will be catalytic to redevelopment. And the grant itself was right around $40 million.
I got it. So we're not going out for a second choice grant. Bowen is our second grant.
Bowen is our second one. Now, we do want to go after a third one. We do want to go after a third choice neighborhood implementation grant, and that possibly will be planned for next year.
Okay, awesome. The comment is Atlanta Housing struggled from the fall of 2013 until kind of the fall of 2019, and it really started picking up in December of 2020, and this report is evidence of that. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to just kind of see if you could expound upon 450 Capitol Avenue, something that's really near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I used to call it home when it was student housing when I was at Georgia State University. And so this is a building that I've been following very closely over the years, and I'm excited to see that now that it is going to be used for public good and public use. And so I'm excited about what you all are doing and just want to talk about timelines. Obviously, this will be something that we'll need to do some extensive public engagement around, and just want to know if you could kind of expound on some of that.
No, absolutely. And so we were excited about the opportunity to move forward with a proactive acquisition strategy for two reasons. In our strategic plan and looking at the 10,000 units, we also have basically stated we're going to populate over 300 acres of vacant land that we own. Once we complete that acreage, then we would just become an asset management company if we were not forward thinking about what a proactive acquisition strategy could look like. So this is really our first venture and to that proactive acquisition strategy. In looking at the remodel hotel, it presents so many development opportunities for Atlanta housing. Really reimagine what the hotel looks like. We believe that we could populate it with about 231 affordable units, but also the attached garage. The garage itself is not stable, and so there will be plans to demolish the garage and possibly have more development adjacent to the existing hotel building. Right now, we're projecting to have an RFP issued within the next 45 days. However, that RFP will not be issued without speaking with the community as well as the city council, yourself. Make sure that we understand and capture your vision for moving forward, as well as the mayor's vision for moving forward with the redevelopment of that site. Now, what we've done in recent years in any of our RFP processes, we have included a member of the community to be part of the selection process. This will be no different. We will because we want to make sure we capture the community voice as well as the need of the overall neighborhood. Now, it's not missed on us that right next to our property, we're seeing $700,000 townhomes. That's not missed at all. And so we do believe by Atlanta Housing having ownership of the remodel hotel, that it gives us the opportunity to continue to infuse affordability in a neighborhood that's rapidly changing.
All right. The only question I had for today, any other questions from my colleagues? Well, again, I just want to second what Councilmember Westmoreland said. It's just exciting to see all the projects that you all have in the pipeline, the shovels in the ground. I know a number of those are in my district.
Yes, sir.
You all have just could write a case study on community engagement. So I just appreciate you being on the ground doing that. Literally, you have been out there doing it. So thank you to your team, all the hard work that you all have been doing. And so look forward to continuing to work with you and your next quarterly update.
No, thank you, sir. And if I could just introduce my team,
Sure.
Because we're moving, and moving means that you have to have people that are really dedicated to make sure that happens as well. So, first and foremost, I would like to introduce Morgan Johnson, that many of you know. He is our contact with the Atlanta City Council, as well as Paul Vraneker. Paul is one of our senior vice presidents, and he really focuses in on policy. And then we also have from our operations team, Damon Jones. So thank you so much for having us today.
All right. Thank you to you and your team. All right, everyone. So we now have quorum. So I've been joined by council members to my immediate right, Matt Westmoreland, to my immediate left, Mary Norwood, and to my far left, Michael Julian Bond. This does constitute a quarter. So I now can officially call this meeting to order. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second. So moved.
So we've got a motion to approve. I will second that. Mr. Evans, if you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. I know my colleagues have poured over the agenda, the minutes of our last meeting, so I will go ahead and make a motion to approve. It's been seconded by Councilmember Westmoreland. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. We've already taken the public comment section of our agenda as well as the presentations and reports. We do have a public hearing item that is on our agenda today, so I will move to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Westmoreland. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays.
We had no one that signed up for public comment on this item, but I think we do need to hear from Director Kieta Holmes, who will tell us a little bit about this agenda item.
And I'll read the caption as she comes. The item is number 1-240-1457, CDP 2424, a substitute ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to amend the land use element of the 2021 City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to designate property having frontage at Flat Shoals Road Southeast to include the low-density residential, single-family residential, and low-density commercial land use designations, and for other purposes.
Thank you. Director Holmes.
Good afternoon, council members. Kieta Holmes, Director of the Office of Zoning and Development. The legislation before you is a land use amendment for properties located in unincorporated DeKalb County. There are approximately 55 properties that are seeking to be annexed into the city of Atlanta subsequent to application Z2461 and the land use amendment before you. The application seeks to assign land use designations that are significantly substantial to the land use designations that are currently in DeKalb County. Those land use designations are single-family residential, low-density commercial, and community service and multifamily residential. These are all consistent with the land use designation of suburban character area in unincorporated DeKalb County. All of the land use designations of low-density residential, single-family residential, and low-density commercial reflect the current use and zoning of the properties and are appropriate for these parcels. Staff recommendation is approval of the low-density residential, single-family residential, and low-density commercial land use designations. MP recommendation was denial.
All right, thank you, Director Holmes. Any questions or comments from colleagues? If not, we had no one sign up for public comment, so I will entertain a motion to close the public comment. I will second. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you. I will now make a motion to hold that item.
Second.
There's a second. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Brings us to Section H, ordinances for first reading. Item number 2 is 24-0-1563, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee waiving the requirements of Section 2-910 of the Atlanta City Code to retroactively authorize and ratify the City of Atlanta's submission of an application for the Breaking Barriers to Business grant from Living Cities on behalf of the Department of City Planning, with funding to be utilized for the implementation of the Breaking Barriers to Business initiative, to accept the funding awarded, to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute any necessary agreements for grant acceptance and participation, to amend the fiscal year 2025 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in an amount not to exceed $100,000.00 and for other purposes. Item number 3, 24-0-1562, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee to amend the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Article 1, Department of Parks and Recreation, Chapter 110, to provide for the reservation of playgrounds within city parks and for other purposes. Brings us to Section I, ordinances for second reading, and number 4, 24-0-1532, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee amending the FY 2025 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $934,800.00 to increase the budget amount for the Santa Fe Villas housing complex, and authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a housing assistance payments contract with GNS Santa Fe Villas LLC, effective January 1st, 2025, and ending December 31st, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $934,800.00 for the purpose of paying rental subsidies on behalf of 100 units for low-income, formerly homeless individuals at Santa Fe Villas Housing Complex pursuant to the Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. All contracted work charged to and paid from the fund department organization and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
All right, Director Jones.
Good afternoon. Genevieve Jones, Director of Entitlement and Competitive Compliance for the Department of Grants and Community Development. The purpose of this legislation is to amend the 25 budget to add to anticipation appropriations for our Santa Fe Villas housing complex. This subsidy under the Section 8 Moderate Rehab Program provides affordable housing for 100 low-income, formerly homeless individuals. This legislation will also aligns with the city's mission to sustain supportive housing solutions and enhance the community welfare by maintaining these stable living environments for our vulnerable population.
All right, any questions or comments from my colleagues? Motion to approve, I'll second. If If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Don't go far.
And the vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Next item is number 5, 2401547, an ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Atlanta and West Side Howell Mill Community Improvement District, DBA Upper West Side CID, on behalf of the Department of Grants and Community Development for the purpose of performing an environmental review at the Silver Comet Connector Segment 3 as required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for reimbursement for all costs associated with the environmental review and for other purposes.
Have a motion to approve. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I will second that. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Item number 6 is 2401550, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason H. Winston amending the Community Development Block Grant Fund budget and the Home Investment Partnership budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations program income as it is generated by the City of Atlanta's Community Development Block Grant Program and the Home Investment Partnership Program and for other purposes.
Thank you. Dr. Jones.
Director Jones again. So this ordinance allows us to have a better understanding of the program income that we are receiving through the federal funds that we receive. This allows the city to anticipate and allocate program income as it's generated, and it ensures that the funds are available to support the ongoing housing and community development projects. It also supports effective program management and maximizing the impact of the federal resources that we receive.
Any questions? Motion to approve. I'll second. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Item number 7 is 2401551, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason H. Winston authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute the 4th amended and restated intergovernmental housing cooperation agreement between the City of Atlanta and Atlanta Housing Opportunity, Inc. in order to make certain modifications to the city's housing opportunity program, including, in particular, the owner-occupied rehabilitation program and the housing production fund, to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute amendments to any other documents as shall be necessary to effectuate this ordinance and for other purposes.
Colleagues, we'll need to amend this one to attach the Exhibit A that details the terms of the 4th Amendment Agreement. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to amend. Second. Have a second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, Dr. Clementich.
Good afternoon, Dr. Clementich with Invest Atlanta. Thank you so much for having me today. So today what's before you is an amendment on the HOB intergovernment agreement, and what it's going to do is basically two things. The first, it's going to allow for flexibility for us to adjust to market conditions. At the time we entered into the agreement, AUDC, which is one of the affiliate entities of the Atlanta Housing Authority, of which Terry leads, wasn't part or what hadn't been confirmed. And so now that they are a partner, we would like to allow them to participate more in the loan programs and in the projects themselves. So that would be adjusted in this amendment. It also specifically states what long-term participation means. And what we've highlighted is long-term participation is 20 years. The second thing that this amendment will allow us to do is to contemplate single family. Before, it was multifamily, but what we recognize under the Housing Opportunity Bond to allow for flexibility is we have to allow for single family, which is in some parts of the city the only option. So again, the goal is to meet people where they are in the spectrum of housing, and we want to provide that flexibility in our Housing Opportunity Bond.
All right, any questions or comments from colleagues? A motion to approve as amended. Dr. Clemente, it was also my understanding that this would allow some flexibility in clearing titles that we've had issues with as well.
Yes, we're trying to pursue that. There are still some legal concerns that we just want to make sure we have out and stated correctly. So we're hoping to get through those as well by the time City Council votes.
Okay. Seeing there are no other questions or comments from colleagues, it's been properly motioned and then seconded. Mr. Evans, if you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. That takes us to item number 8. There's a substitute in the packet. It doesn't change the caption. It reads, it's 24-0-1552, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, as substituted by Community Development Human Services Committee, to name the fountain located in Rodney Cook Senior Park in honor of the Honorable Councilmember Ivory Lee Jones Jr. and for other purposes.
Thank you. Councilmember Westmoreland.
I suspect I'm not the only one, but I'd like to add my name as a sponsor.
Oh.
I'll make a motion to amend to do that.
Got a motion to amend to add council members Westmoreland and also Councilmember Bond. I will add my name as well. And I'll second that.
Just the vote is open. And the vote is closed. It's been amended to add those names. And
You know what? I'm going to make another motion to add Councilman Shook's name, and he can take it off on Monday if he wants to, and I doubt he will. So if someone will second that.
I'll second that, but does it need a subsequent amended motion?
I was going to suggest we can just
Parliamentarian says no.
say that's part of the substitute.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we'll take those as motion to substitute in a second. The vote is open. The vote is closed. It's 4 yeas and 0 nays. Takes us to Section J, Resolutions. Item number 9, 24R4203, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing a contribution to the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $201,000.00 for the park lighting and ADA improvements at Windsor Street Park, and authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to make the payment from the account number listed herein and for other purposes.
Thank you. Deputy Commissioner Hicks.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
This resolution, introduced by Councilmember Jason Dozier, authorizes a contribution of $201,000 for critical improvements in Windsor Street Park. The funding will cover park lighting and ADA, that is the American Disabilities Act improvements, ensuring that the park is safer and more accessible for all visitors. These upgrades will enhance the park's usability, benefiting Atlanta's families, children, and visitors, especially those with disabilities, by promoting inclusivity. The funds will be drawn from District 4's allotment within the city's budget and transferred from the Department of Parks and transferred to the Department of Parks and Recreation Park Improvement Fund. The Chief Financial Officer is authorized to remit the funds and ensure that they're allotted properly for the intended park improvements. These improvements align with the city's commitment to creating accessible, well-maintained public spaces and will significantly benefit Windsor Street Park.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Hicks. And if you'll excuse us, we do need to clear clear up a procedural vote for the previous item. So I will make a motion to approve as substituted and amended.
Sure.
Is there a second? Second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. It's 3 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The motion is favorable.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Director,
Thank you, sir.
Deputy Commissioner Hicks. Any questions or comments from colleagues on this? I have a motion to approve. I'll second. If you could please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Item number 10 is 24R4204, a resolution by Council members Amir Faroqi, Matt Westmoreland, and Mary Norwood to request that the Director of the Urban Design Commission initiate the process of nominating the Chastain Arts Center and Gallery located at 135 Chastain Park Avenue Northwest as a landmark building or site and for other purposes. Vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Item number 11 is 24R4289, a resolution by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to apply for and accept a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency FY 2025 Brownfields Community-Wide Assessment Grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in an amount not to exceed $500,000.00 for the purpose of conducting community-wide brownfield assessments, authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into any necessary agreements with this U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in connection with this grant and for other purposes.
Director Holmes.
Good afternoon, council members. Kiana Holmes, Director of Office of Zoning and Development. This legislation authorizes the department to apply for an EPA grant in the amount of $500,000. Should we be awarded the grant, the money would be used to do phase 1 and phase 2 assessments in areas like along the Chattahoochee, along Jonesboro Road, and in other formerly industrial areas here in the city.
Any questions or comments? I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Norwood. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. Item number 12 is 24R4290, a resolution by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta, Department of Parks and Recreation, to enter into an intergovernmental agreement for joint use of facilities for recreational, athletic, and educational purposes between the Atlanta Independent School System, aka Atlanta Public Schools, and the City of Atlanta for the purpose of creating a cooperative relationship for the implementation of mutually beneficial initiatives that support APS students and the city's residents, and for other purposes.
Commissioner Cutler.
Good afternoon, Chair Winston, members of CDHS. This is a big day for us at the City of Atlanta and Atlanta Public Schools. Not only did APS achieve an 88% graduation last year, we also started negotiating our joint use agreement, which at the end of the day will memorialize activities that we've been doing for years, in which we worked collaboratively to use spaces from pools, tennis courts, playgrounds, golf courses. Now it'll be memorialized and we'll get recognition for this effort. We'll be able, families will now be able to use APS schoolyards after school hours and on the weekends without their pets, because APS does not allow animals on their grounds. But this will open up more opportunities in areas that we cannot provide opportunity at this time as we work to acquire more parkland. This is a big deal because it'll mean that more residents will be within a 10-minute walk, which is part of our goal as we work to improve our park score and access to recreation spaces. And also, the school district and our students, which are our young people, and as part of the mayor's commitment of Year of the Youth, this will help further access to opportunities for after-school activities, sports programs, and other events and services. So this is exciting to be here. This is for 1 year with 2 additional 1-year renewals. And the school board will be taking this up on their November 4th meeting. Today, we are asking that you hold this piece of legislation for one cycle and that it come back before the committee at your last meeting in October and then at the council meeting on the 4th. And that way we'll adopt it together at our meetings on the 4th. I'd also like to thank the Department of Law who put in a huge amount of work to help us get to this point. This has been over 1.5 years in the making, so kudos to the Law Department and Procurement for helping us get to this point. So thank you.
This is good stuff. We got a motion to hold by Councilmember Westmoreland. Do we have any? By second by Councilmember Norwood. Just two things I will have questions about. One is this: does this pertain to all APS property? So every school in APS.
Yes, schools and playgrounds, yeah.
Okay, and then second, I know that in past conversations around this, there have been some concern about insurance, who would carry, who would be responsible. Just, I don't know if you can touch on that today, but if not, maybe our next meeting, just maybe give us an answer on that.
Yeah, so as far as insurance, we're both independently insured, so we'll both insure our own spaces. We'll both provide security at our own spaces. To your point about question about indoor spaces, so as the agreement currently stands, this is just outdoor playgrounds. There's capacity issues and janitorial and labor issues that the APS faces that are unique to their circumstance, where their janitorial staff goes home after 4 p.m. And so we're still working through that, and that's why this is for 1 year. But it will give all of our families access to playgrounds, which is a big deal, and to memorialize our commitment to APS and their students' access to our facilities.
Great. So we got a motion to hold by Councilmember Westmoreland, second by Councilmember Norwood. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open.
On the 28th?
Yep.
The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. The item's held. Now we're in Section K, which is papers held in committee. There are a few to take care of. The first is number 13, 22-0-1045, CDP 2153, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 570 Flat Shoals Avenue Southeast from the single-family residential land use designation to the low-density commercial land use designation, and for other purposes. The request is to file.
I'll make a motion to file. Second by Councilmember Westmoreland. If you can please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The next item is number 29 on the agenda. 24-0-1497, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee to adopt the 2025 to 2029 Capital Improvements Element, CIE, which includes capital improvements that the city intends to fund in whole or in part with development impact fees in compliance with the requirements of the Georgia Development Impact Fee Act and for other purposes. There's an amendment in everyone's packet. It is an updated projects list.
So I'll make a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Westmoreland. If you could please open the vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The item's amended.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Mr. Rasheen Hunter.
Good afternoon, Rasheen Hunter, the Department of City Planning. We have before you today to adopt as an ordinance the updated CIE capital improvement element. You all have already adopted it as a resolution. It has been transmitted to the Atlanta Regional Commission as well as the Department of Community Affairs of the state of Georgia. They have sent it back with their review and their comments, and it is prepared again for you all to adopt it officially as our ordinance. This will become our updated project list as well as the financial records for the last year in there as well.
All right. Any questions or comments from colleagues? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Westmoreland. If you please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you.
Next is item number 30, 24-0-1515, an ordinance by council member, actually there's a substitute in your packet that will change the caption.
I'll make a motion to bring forth the substitute.
Second.
Second by Westmoreland. If you please open the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. It is 24-0-1515, CDP 2425, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1029 McDaniel Street from single-family residential land use designation to mixed-use low-density land use designation and for other purposes. This item needs to be held for a future public hearing.
Motion to hold. I'll make a second. If you could please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. The item's held. Item number 31, 24R4179, a resolution by Community Development Human Services Committee on behalf of the Department of City Planning to amend Resolution 24R3750 adopted by the Atlanta City Council on July 1st, 2024 and approved per City Charter Section 2-403 on July 10th, 2024 by correcting the funding account strings listed therein. All other parts of the legislation to remain unchanged and for other purposes. There's a request to file this item.
Motion to file.
Second.
A second. If you could please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. And Section L, there is a walk-in item for the committee's consideration today. It is Elms ID 36447, a resolution by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Atlanta to accept a donation of enhancements and site improvements as outlined in Exhibit A, valued approximately $100,000.00 from the Atlanta Hawks Foundation, Inc. for C.T. Martin Natatorium and Recreation Center located 3201 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia 30311, for the purpose of improving the facility and for other purposes.
On behalf of Councilmember Boo, I will gladly make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a second? Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas and 0 nays. And that's all the legislative items.
Thank you. Any parting words or comments from colleagues? Seeing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you.